You know Mario, you know Pikachu, you know Solid Snake and Master Chief, but who is the one gaming mascot that rules them all? You. Well, me. Okay, we, you and me because of the Wii. Okay, wait, I'm confusing myself too. Let's take a step back. The early 2000s was a time dominated by iconic gaming mascots. But after losing their tight grip on the industry to Sony and Microsoft, Nintendo took a bold step in 2006. Instead of relying on established characters, they turned the spotlight on the real stars, the players themselves. Today I want to look at the genius of Mii's, how they were a key component in helping the Wii reach success, and how you, yes you, the girl watching this, put an entire company on your back during one of its lowest moments. But first, before we get into any of this, I'd like to pose the question, what makes a good gaming mascot? At the core of most successful gaming companies and franchises is a great mascot, an icon and recognizable face to both push sales and spread general awareness of a game series or console. As gaming became more mainstream, it started becoming more and more apparent that mascots were a key factor for success in the industry. Look at Mario, an Italian plumber with the body of Mickey Mouse and the mustache of my butcher on West 12th Street. I think it's safe to say that Mario is a solid representation of the essence of his games with his fun, unique design. He's human, but not realistic by any means, which kind of gives him some flexibility and allows Nintendo to kind of throw him into anything from a racetrack made of ice cream to a baseball stadium, and it'll never really feel out of place. But even more important is that his design is rather inviting. It makes him the actual perfect mascot for a company so prolific and diverse in the types of games that they produce. The design is great because when you see him on any given piece of box art, you already have a solid baseline of the experience that you'll get, and he really served as the groundwork for other popular gaming mascots in the 90s. Sega's introduction of Sonic the Hedgehog in 1991 practically single-handedly launched them right into the thick of things against Nintendo. This new rising competitor forced their hand. Sonic was a little cooler and sleeker than his red counterpart, and he represented what the Sega Genesis tried to accomplish in general, as Sega sought to kind of bring a level of maturity to home consoles. Sonic really legitimized the idea that a mascot can actually have a lot of power in leveraging public opinion. And in response, Nintendo also kind of began to lean a little harder into bringing Mario into the forefront of the entire company. Mario vs. Sonic at its core was a battle of ideas. The company's two strategies were very clear from these characters alone. Fun creative gameplay on Team Nintendo versus cool, high-octane power coming from Sega. And these two ran the 90s, and their success gave way to other companies attempting the same thing with fresh new characters, some with much more success than others. But as these competitors came and either stuck around or faded away, cracks were beginning to form in Mario's image. It was first evident with Sonic, but it became kind of more clear over time that the downside of Mario as a mascot is that he kind of suffers from success. Given that he was the face of gaming since 1985, people can't help but associate him with their childhoods and with what they used to play, regardless of their age, because he's been pretty ubiquitous for all this time. And because of this, nothing about him really screams exciting new experiences. In comes Microsoft in 2001, whose mission was to portray themselves as the pioneers of these aforementioned exciting new experiences. They bring in Master Chief, who basically turned this whole mascot philosophy of the 90s up on its head. A stoic, gunslinging alien slayer fully suited up in futuristic armor. You couldn't even see his face. He was the true antithesis of what all these other companies were doing, and he was perfect for what Microsoft was trying to achieve with their introduction of the Xbox, a grittier, more powerful console aimed at older audiences. Master Chief was the face of the new generation of consoles that could finally support semi-realistic, intense gameplay straight out of action movies. This man presented a huge problem for Nintendo, as the kids that grew up on their consoles began to shift over to the big kids table. And as I mentioned in my Wii video, Sony and Microsoft were quickly taking over during this era, when all Nintendo had to compete with was the GameCube and their old bag of tricks. The image of Mario had left Nintendo pigeonholed in terms of public perception. They needed something new. They needed to readdress their target audience and earn a new place in the industry. But forget taking back that lost market share with something more powerful and edgy. They thought bigger. They approached the Wii with a totally different mindset, both in terms of console design and the mascot itself. And in an effort to reshape their legacy during this new generation of the console war, in comes what I believe is one of the most brilliant moves in gaming history, the introduction of you. The Wii is one of those consoles that many of us can agree hold a lot of our fondest gaming memories from the early to mid 2000s. We all love the Wii, and I'm no exception to that. I've been hyping up the Wii for as long as I remember, so much so that you should really watch this video. The Wii not only changed the entire landscape of gaming with the introduction of motion controls, but it also redefined the way in which people perceived the entire concept of gaming. The idea before the Wii was that games were either made for kids, mega nerds, or scraggly dudes that lived in their mother's basements for way too long. I have been all three at some point in my life. But the goal of the Wii was to show that gaming is something that is meant to be enjoyed by anyone and everyone. But how the hell do you market something to everybody? Especially something as personal as a gaming console. Throughout the marketing campaign of the Wii, it was clear that Nintendo was really trying hard to push this narrative that the Wii was for everyone. They included all ages and demographics in their ads surrounding the console in an effort to show this. And in terms of the actual console design, they made the controller as simple as possible. It looks just like a TV remote, so basically anyone can pick up the controller and begin to play with little to no guidance. And motion controls limit the need for explanation even further. Dad, it's really simple. You just pick it up and start moving it around. No, fuck, god damn it. So we've got good advertising, we've got smart, intuitive design, but now for the bread and butter, the arrival of the Miis. They packaged the Wii with Wii Sports to show off the capabilities of the motion controls. But interestingly enough, there was no sign of Mario or any other Nintendo character for that matter. You might have been thinking to yourself, what the hell are these weird humanoids with floating limbs? Until that is, you stumbled onto the Mii Channel. And with that decision, Nintendo had it all figured out. Cut out the research and focus groups, the new mascot is the player themselves. Why didn't they just include new or classic characters? Well, think about it. What would Wii Sports or Wii Play feel like if instead of the Miis that you created, they were instead replaced with Mario and the other cast of characters? It would lose a bit of its magic, right? What would be more fun? A character that you had no personal ties to playing in a game of Wii Baseball, or the Mii version of your grandma throwing a perfect game and going 3 for 3 with 3 dingers? This factor alone kept players interested in playing these games over and over again. On top of this, the development of skill points in each of the game categories meant that you yourself could see progress being made as you got better at the games. What I'm getting at is that the thing that makes the Wii truly special wasn't just its innovation, but rather how it turned each player into the star of their own gaming experience. As I mentioned earlier, what made mascots like Mario and Master Chief so special in their own right was that they directly parallel to the games that they represent. And yes, Mario's Nintendo's guy, but the Wii with Wii Sports represented such a huge shift in gaming that there was no other mascot more perfect than the Mii. The console was made for everyone, and the controls literally parallel your movements, so you, your family, and your creation are the new cast of characters. With a control scheme as immersive and personal as the Wii's, it only made sense that you were the creator and visionary for the next era of mascots. It works perfectly. Nobody had to learn any weird character names or understand any manufactured lore to become invested before hopping in. All that was needed was the creation of your Mii, and the immersion and emotional gravity of the competitions are already baked into the game from the get-go. It's you on the screen hitting home runs and hitting a power serve. And it makes wins and losses feel that much more impactful. It's a big reason why I think the Wii lifted Nintendo back up on top, and why it's still a common console that people go back and play, no matter what age. And if you weren't interested in playing as yourself, the Mii could bend and shape to become whoever you wanted it to be. A boxing match between Lil Wayne and Shrek? Go for it. The Check Me Out channel was incredible for this. You were able to check out other people's Miis across the world and even import them over onto your Mii Plaza. Discovering this channel blew my mind as a kid, and I'd spend hours looking through the catalog and adding in hilarious, sometimes mildly offensive Miis into my console. Another thing that I just love so much about the Mii channel is that if you're like me, you might still have your childhood Wii in your possession. I played my Wii a lot, and I had a lot of Miis. I played the Wii just about daily from its release up through 2012 when I phased it out a bit after years of play. Then 6 or 7 years later, when I went to college, I decided to dust it off and bring it with me to enjoy with my roommates. And I've been playing it pretty regularly since. But what really struck me was the first time turning the console on after years of it being dormant. I instantly wanted to go to the Mii channel to see all of the people who were created over my handful of years with the console. I saw versions of myself from my childhood and early teenage years, old close childhood friends who I haven't spoken to in years, and even some family members who are since long gone and passed away. But they were all still just right there, staring up at me from the little lobby of the Mii Channel. I still to this day find this to be incredibly bittersweet, and I remember the first time opening my Wii after years of not doing so, having this same feeling of nostalgic sadness, yet fondness at the same time. Yeah, obviously the characters don't look realistic to who the people are, but the resemblance was there. And more importantly, the memories came flooding back to me too. I remember as a kid sitting there during the creation process of my friends and family's Miis, and each individual Mii on the channel really does have their own story. To me, that is my absolute favorite thing about the mascots of this console. Nintendo basically created, probably unbeknownst to them, a time capsule that will forever be holding our childhood memories on this one simple channel. And that's the thing about Miis. The personal aspect sets them apart from any other character in video games. These rather bare bones avatars, made with a limited number of simple facial features, have layers and layers of the best lore and design that you'll ever find in a game because it's your lore and design. And games like Wii Sports, Wii Fit, and even other titles like Mario Kart Wii encouraged us to inject ourselves into the game. Whether you were playing tennis or speeding down Rainbow Road with your Mii, the experience was uniquely yours. And I really think that Nintendo understood that the more players felt connected to their virtual selves, the more they would connect with the Wii. So yeah, the introduction of Mii's, in my opinion, was probably one of the smartest yet subtle marketing / design plays that I've ever seen up until that point. Sure, other games and franchises have tested their hands at customization and character creation. Xbox tried to do the same thing with the 360 Kinect and the launch of Kinect Adventures, but it just didn't hit the same. And I think it's the simplicity of Wii Sports and the Mii's that make them such a powerful combination. Nintendo didn't need any groundbreaking ray tracing or convoluted game mechanics. They just needed some sports, and they needed you. There's something intangible about the Mii's that make them top of the line characters, and I think that they definitely had a direct role in solidifying the Wii as one of the greatest consoles of all time. So with that being said, thanks for watching. And watch out, Matt's right behind you. He's gonna punch you. Watch out, watch out, watch out!